Welcome to Three Takes. I'm Ishana.
I'm Minali.
I'm Mona.
Three women.
Three generations.
One family, unpacking the questions we all ask. Hey, Mama, so what's new with you?
Well, this morning, my sister and I was sitting outside on the porch and we were having some deep conversation. You know, we both were really talking, Minali and Ishana, that how she's in India and I'm here. We are not able to see each other as often as we would like to. And I think growing up, something we took it for granted. We always thought that we will see each other often and we will live closer to home and close by. So just some deep conversations, reflecting.
You moved to the U.S. when you were, 21, 22, right? I feel like that's a huge transition, moving from one country to another country, let alone at how young of an age you did. Dada, I know you've had to move at different stages in your life. I have as well. So I think for today's topic, this could be a topic worth exploring, talking about, what does it really feel like to leave home, but also pros, cons, and is moving out of the house something that was important for our growth?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Mama, maybe you can explain just a little bit, because I don't even know the full story of this, is like, how old were you? I don't think you had ever left the house until you were 21, 22 and got married. So maybe give us a little bit of context of like what it was like when you were here.
I always lived at home. I did my schooling, and even for my college, and even for my first job, I always lived in the same city. I always lived with my parents and grandparents. So we have traveled around, but I have never left home. So the first time I left home, it was not just the home. It was I just left my city. I left the country I grew up. And at 21, I came to USA. So that was my first big move.
And you only moved here because of you got married.
Yes, that's correct.
I feel like you even saying that is like kind of makes a pit in my stomach of how dramatic of a move that was, especially so long ago when the communication platforms that we have now didn't exist back then. I mean, if you were to put yourself back in that time, like, do you remember what that felt like?
When I found out that I'm going to US, and of course, because I was young, I was getting married, I was really excited about it. But I always had that feeling, my gosh, how it will be going away from home. Because I have always dreamed about living in the same city, because not only I loved my home, I loved the city, I loved the friends, I loved everything about it. So I never thought that I will be moving away. But during the wedding and everything, there's a lot of excitement also. So there was a mixed feeling. But when I came, I really felt a lot of loneliness. I also felt that somebody took my safest place and put me in a situation where I don't know anybody. Marriage also has its own adjustments, right? And then it was a different country. All the surrounding was, new to me. So people have to accept me, people has to adopt me, and even I have to adopt a lot of different things. So it was a lot of learning, a lot of crying, a lot of happiness, and a lot of laughter, but a lot of loneliness as well.
I mean, did you ever doubt or second guess, like, should I have come here? Like, can I go back?
Yeah, so I think initially, and Manoj, my husband, he can tell, I used to count hours that, because I have never left home, right? I will say, okay, this is my mom must be doing now. This is my...
It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, look, I'll say this. It's like me moving even just to a different state is very difficult. Like, you guys are in North Carolina, I'm in Massachusetts. That was a really big adjustment for me. So I can only imagine what it was like for you in your early 20s, like halfway across the world, right? Not being able to talk to your parents or your family.
So right now, the communication is a lot more easier. It was really hard, and it was so expensive to call home and talk. So it was like 3 minutes were so expensive. And also we were in very early stage of our career. So you have to really mind within your budget, and it was so expensive. So 3 minutes call, and if you have to do between two families, between Manoj's family and my family, so you have to be very mindful for those once a month somewhere, like, where you grew up and you always lived with someone, and you have to call for 3 minutes. That was really hard, really hard.
Yeah.
But something which I really treasure is the letters, So I will wait and I will exactly know what time the mailman will come. And actually, he became my friend because he said, you are the only one who will be standing next to that mailbox hoping that I will have a letter. And then I will open the letter and I will read, and I still have my mom's letter, my dad's letter, my sister, even my grandmother's letter. And it's in our guest bedroom, all of that I have kept it. So I think that's a real treasure. I think I really value now those letters. And probably I would have even have not written those long letters if I was not that far. So the emotions and the feelings from my grandmother, my parents, my sisters and brother, even my friends, I have letters from my friends. Definitely that helped me with the transition, and that hope of, maybe I will be seeing them more often was very helpful.
I know, Mama, the move was there was just a lot of emotions that happened with that, and I think we should definitely talk a little bit more about that. But I want to shift Dada to you about talking a little bit about your story and moving away from home, because while it did happen to you, also very different than what our mom experienced.
Moving away from home for a lot of people ends up coming around college time. So for me, I went to Duke for undergrad. It was only a 2.5-hour drive away from home. So even though I was moving away from home, I always felt there was a security blanket because I could always just drive home on a weekend if I needed to. I probably went home at least like 1 or 2 times a month, at least in the beginning. And then the parents would also come. I remember like Mama would give like home cooked Indian meals. And like I would just like use the microwave, and like all of my college roommates and like people on my floor like knew that, oh, Minali's coming home with all of her mom's stuff. So I personally didn't feel like I quote unquote moved away in college. Even in med school, I was in Chapel Hill, which was also about 2.5 hours away. And I went back to Charlotte to do some of my med school rotations for about 2 years. And I actually feel like I regressed because I ended up just, relying on all the chores and things from my parents. And all I did was focus on school. So truly, I do not think I moved away from home until I was 26 and started my residency in Boston. And that was one of the reasons actually why I chose Boston. Not because I don't love being close to family or living close to home or the Charlotte community. I actually felt like for my own personal growth, it was really important just for my own independence and like learning life skills and learning how to troubleshoot things on my own. It was just important that I move in a different state. And so that's why I ended up coming to Boston. That was during like peak pandemic. So that was May of 2020.
Yeah, and similar question to Mama. I mean, you just explained how your journey of moving away from home was, but can you recall the emotions, whether highs or low, you felt not only the act of having to move, but once you were in Boston during the pandemic, what that felt like?
Usually new interns and new medical trainees start end of June, early July. And so I remember that time being very difficult for me because I didn't know people here. I was single. I didn't have Rahul, my husband. At the time, I hadn't even met him at the time. I had a few friends that I made there, like in my residency training program, but like we were all still new and we had to wear masks everywhere. The protocols were really strict. And I remember I did not see the parents or you for like 6 months. And that was such a difficult time because like you're learning how to be a new doctor, just the stress of the job, like not really having a support system around. And it got so difficult to the point that like I remember, I think I was just like on a phone call with you, Mama, and I think you told our dad we really need to go and just see her in person. And like I still remember the very first time I saw you after 6 months, just like your touch and hugging you. It gets me emotional thinking about it, but that was like I needed you guys so badly because I had just not been gone away from home that long.
Oh my God, this is becoming a very emotional episode.
Crying.
No, but I think it speaks to the fact of, again, like a lot of our values and our upbringing too, right? Like home is, yes, like a place, but it's also like who you get to be with. Similar to your beginning journey that the like college is kind of the first glimpse, but I went to Wake Forest, which is even closer than Duke was for our home back in Charlotte. But really like I started my college in an extreme way where I did a pre-orientation program that was basically like a mini Survivor experience where we were backpacking in the woods for like 4 days. And so that was like complete isolation because there was no way for me to even communicate. And I was like literally in the woods for 4 days. And that was like the first glimpse of like what it is like to be away from home. And it was very difficult and challenging, but also something I knew that I needed. And, you know, to be kind of brief, I think throughout college, it was also nice knowing that I could drive home at any point. So then I think the real true first time I was away from home was when I did a semester abroad my junior year in Barcelona, Spain, where, again, kind of similar to Mama, I moved to a new country, but different because there was also like an end date to that. It was only 4 months that I did it, but even in that 4 months, I mean, I remember just like coordinating time zones on when I was going to be able to talk to you. By the time like 2 months entered, like I was like counting down the days to when I knew that you guys were going to visit me, because although I feel like I had a lot of learning and growing of living alone, it's just like very different to move away, especially in a household that I feel very grateful for, that carried a lot of warmth, carried a lot of close family ties. So I also remember the day that you guys landed in Barcelona and I finally got to see you. That was like a very special day as well.
Because we're obviously so close as a family, like, do you think it was necessary for each of us to move away for a period of time? And you're trying to, like, not to mention, like, post-graduation, you also moved to, like, Ohio.
Yeah, and I was going to get to that, like,
my bad.
But as you kind of touched on, I came back from abroad, graduated my senior year during the pandemic, where I was actually, like, forced to come home. And that forcedness of coming home actually gave me a greater sense of gratitude of what being at home and being surrounded by the people I love is really like. And so then when I really had to move for a more permanent time frame was when I had to move to the Midwest to start my new job. And that was like extremely difficult for me, like mentally, because I also like really didn't know anyone. It was already an isolating time because of COVID. And like, I really didn't know what to do. I also was starting a long distance relationship. And so there was just a lot of mental struggles, a lot of mental battles. I know I was like living life almost to kind of look forward to when I was like coming home or seeing a family member. And so it was a huge adjustment. But to answer a question, was it worth it? Now I'm living in New York, which has been like a dream of mine forever. And I absolutely think it's worth it because I don't think I could be doing a lot of the things that I'm able to now. But I also want to mention, like, that idea of home hasn't changed because, I mean, I get to see you. I'm seeing you tomorrow, like when I'm visiting you in Boston. And I think all of us are very intentional and, like, we really can't go more than, like, 2 months without seeing each other. So long-winded answer, yes, it's worth it. And I think it's important. But I don't think it makes it any easier even the longer it becomes of being away from home.
I agree with that. So there is definitely a lot of emotions when you talk about moving away from family, but there is so much learning and growth. I have always lived in a family till I was 21 and I got married. But there are many things I did. I really learned how to build a community, how to build a family. And a lot of my perspective has changed because if I was living just in a same way, probably I might not be as diverse and as open-minded or the growth-minded as I was, because I was already in my comfort zone. That the same thing I was seeing, the same thing I was adopting, and the same thing I was learning. So as much as I valued that, I do also value that moving away taught me to really meet different people, different thinking, how to really adopt different things in different situations was a really big learning for me.
Mama, can I ask, because I think there are probably going to be a lot of listeners who might be mothers or might have close siblings that will have to leave the nest at some point, and I know that's a huge thing to deal with as a parent. You were always very supportive of us leaving the nest because you also had as well for opportunities. Were there any mechanisms or any tools that you recommend of like, how do you just like emotionally deal with the fact that your kids leave the house at some point?
Yeah,
I think so. I can tell you when you guys left. So definitely when Minali left, I was really happy that, she's starting her new life. So I know that if she would have stayed at home, she will not be the person who she is. So what is more important is that the growth and the happiness. So I think for that, you have to do the sacrifice. You have to do that. So you start teaching yourself. So which I did with Minali also and with Ishana also. I started preparing myself mentally that for Minali's growth, for Minali's happiness, the decisions what she will make will be better for her. Something she will fail, something she will succeed. And I have to support and I have to be there for her, because that is the most important thing. And but that time I had Ishana also. So I knew that there is still one child at home. So
Younger sibling.
yeah. So but when then Ishana left, definitely it feels sad. I will go sometime upstairs. Even when Minali left, I will go and sit in her bedroom. I will look at the things. And some of the things like, the card she had sent me, some of the tantrums she threw on me. So all those memories will come there and you kind of know that's a part of growing. I left my mom, I left my parents, so did Minali. And it's so do all of the people have to do that. But as far as we stay connected, we don't have to really see each other every day. But if we have that bonding, the distance shouldn't matter as much.
Yeah. Was there one child that it was harder when they left? This is going to be...
No, so this is now
this is gonna cause a fight.
It's going to cause a competition.
No, I think...
Or if like for you versus my dad, was there one that was like harder or easier?
No, I'm not going to answer those questions because I know that you want to get who I love more. So I'm not going to answer that because
Okay, fine.
I love both the same.
Fine.
Very diplomatic answer. Yes, like I wouldn't take away the experience of being independent, managing a home by myself almost, right? Like when you're living in a new apartment and even building a community around you, right? Like we have friends who are in the Northeast now that we didn't before. And then quite honestly, like meeting my husband was the biggest thing that came out of me moving away from home. But now that we are looking to settle somewhere long term, like me and my husband, to be honest, we're thinking about coming back home to really just settle our roots here, like grow a family, like closer to one set of parents. At least for me, I think in the short term, it is important for personal growth to be away from family for a little bit. But in the long term, I do think there's a longing, at least for me, to come back.
Yeah, I actually took a class while I was getting my MBA at NYU recently. It's a class by a very famous professor named Jonathan Haidt. He taught a class called Work, Wisdom, and Happiness. And something he talked that I think pertains more towards my generation is that we seek comfort. And a lot of the times comfort comes from the home because our parents have worked hard to provide opportunities for us as well. Whereas I think for Mama, for your generation, a lot of people have had to like move very far away to even get opportunities that a lot of people in my generation, not all, but kind of were given to because of what our parents had to sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
So I think even when I have conversations with my friends, we all kind of used to like shit on the fact of like the hometown we grew up in. We all wanted to like move really far away. And now that we are like out of North Carolina, every one of my friends that I've talked to for the most part, we're all like, we love the place that we grew up so much. Like we really do want to move back home. And so I think a lot of it also depends on who you grew up with and kind of are those people moving back. I think that also has been like an influential decision for me because they've been my community and friends for so long.
Yeah. And understand also that family dynamics are so different, right? Like for some people, it's like they grew up in a dysfunctional family. So like being away from home is what's better for them, right? And it's very circumstantial. But I think for us in our situation, we always feel this sense of like home is where our family is.
And I think that goes to the point of, to your point exactly, home is not necessarily defined by the location, but it's what do you feel when you are around certain people. Like for me, now that I live with my fiance, I do feel that sense of home when I'm with him, whether that's in New York or back in Charlotte. So it's not necessarily the geographic location sometimes as well.
And sometimes you have to accept that you might not have that ability to be closer to home. Or like, so I will tell you that now, and a lot of my friends, actually, other day only I was talking to one of my friend whose dad passed away last year. And we were just talking about that we never thought that we might not be able to immediately go and see when we hear that our parents is sick or they are in the hospital. But it's a part of some decisions, some choices we have made in our life. And there are so many things you earn, but then there are some regrets. So like, for example, I can tell you, you were asking me, Ishana, that who did you miss more and all of that. So I knew that for my dad, I was his favorite child. Like he will say openly. So for my father, when he passed away, I always wondered, did he remember me as a daughter? And I was his favorite daughter, favorite child. We are 3 siblings. Because he was not able to talk to me on the phone because he has a hearing problem. I was not able to see him that frequently. And I always thought, did he think about me? Did he feel my touch? Or what was going in his mind when he passed away?
Yeah.
So, but then that's the cost you have to pay.
It comes with pros and cons, right? Because I think the pro of you both moving here to the States is that you grew your own family, you built your own community, right? It's like, I think in a way, Mama, your friends are your family, right? Because they're the ones that are close to you and you rely on them for like support on a day-to-day. And so like you built that for us. And then as a result, you gave us opportunities that you guys didn't necessarily have. So I think that's a huge plus of you all moving here. But at the same time, there are people who you left behind. And I can understand where the questioning comes in, are they thinking about me? What mark did I leave on them? Like, I think these are very natural thought processes to have.
Yeah. And I think now we do have the support system because a lot of our friends, especially when it's coming to the parents, because we have aging parents, and a lot of friends now we are discussing openly, and we are talking about it that, give as much time, do as much as you can. And something probably we were so busy making our career, raising our kids. So we couldn't probably do, but at least what you can do is the time what you have, whether you're talking to them or you're doing FaceTime, at least show and the care and do that 100%. Be fully attentive and show them that you are there. So that's what we talk. So the support system really helps. But then there are so many things we talk about it. Like, my gosh, this was the best thing was moving away from home because we were able to do so much. We were able to be, there was a freedom, there was a loneliness, but there were also community. And I think it's just a part of the life. It's the part of a natural process. So you just have to think about it. How do you really want to make your time, most importantly, between your family, the family you left behind, your friends? You have to just prioritize those things.
So going back to what Mama was saying about like being really present when you are with family who you haven't seen for very long, I will say one of the best pieces of advice that my maternal grandma gave me, who she in general is just a very positive person. She said, like, regardless of how much time you spend with people, accept that and take that as enough. Don't expect too much from people. Whatever they give you, take that as a gift. So like the time that you have with somebody in person, just be fully present. So
also for the other way around, to extend what our grandma said further, like, also don't think so much about what you've left behind. Also think about what is in front of you and like what opportunities you can get from this. Because again, if we live so much in the regret and just like what we've left behind, then it feels like what was the point of even taking that step and taking that leap and trying to grow for ourselves individually. So it's a tough balance mentally, but I think also trying to take advantage of the time that you do have in that new place, because home is always there. But my time in New York is not going to be forever because I want to move home. So really trying to take opportunity of what it's like to live here while I am.
Yeah, and I think to the same point, what Minali and Ishana, you were saying, I was discussing with my sister today that we should not take it for granted, the time, because we don't know what decisions we will have to make for our growth, sometime willingly or unwillingly, right? We have to be fully present. And it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality time, whether it's your parents, your siblings, your friends. We have to be present and attentive and be very grateful for the time. And I know this topic brought a lot of emotions, a lot of tears and crying, because anytime when you do the reflect on what happened, but the think about it, there is a bright side also.
Oh, people must think we're just like big babies. Like anytime we talk about our family.
No, I think this is a topic that is very tough for a lot of people. Like, I remember like talking to a lot of my friends who we all had to like move for the first time, and like I think it's really easy to make it sound like, oh, we're babies. But I mean, the reason we're having this topic, right, is because it is a difficult subject, but it's also like the reality of how life is. So we hope that you appreciate our emotions, not call us babies.
Yeah. I think we are able to tell. There's so many people who are not able to express or they don't express. So I know that when you guys left, the first thing Manoj will come and ask, so did you hear? I wonder what they must be doing now. But probably he didn't express that. So a lot of people don't say it. People told me that when I left home, my dad will sit in the corner where I used to do my homework. So, there is a lot of people. So right now we are showing our emotions. So I think there has to be support system for everyone that they can really talk when your loved ones leave home or they leave home, what kind of emotions they go through.
Just so everyone's aware also, as a 32-year-old woman, my parents can still track me on a Life 360 app. So they ask me all the time, like, please tell us when you are like landing or like taking off, when you're traveling somewhere. They will also get notification via Life 360.
But also to just clarify, there's something we did not ask. You shared. So please.
I voluntarily did it, but I'm just saying, like, now we have the luxury of knowing what we're doing at all times.
There's a TikTok that I saw that it's like 30-year-old like still texting their parents when they land, when they get to the hotel, when they do all this. And I feel like in the beginning when we were in high school, we had to text our parents when we reached, but I feel like now it's like on our own that we like do it.
So let me add this.
No, I agree with that.
Let me add this. So the girls like us to track as well, because they will text us, oh, why you're not home yet? Why it's taking you so long?
Because you guys party more than like we do. So
I know.
it's like, you're like, not, you don't get home till like 2 a.m. sometimes.
Well, sometimes it like scares me when they don't like answer their phone and you like call them and call them and call them. And then you like look on Life 360 and it's like they're at their friend's house. Like, what are they doing over there?
Yeah.
What are we taking away from this?
That it's hard to leave home.
I think
That's my takeaway.
Great. Okay. My takeaway, I think I'm going to go back to what our grandma said. We call her Nani. So I think, Ishana, what you mentioned Nani saying is it's like, you don't want to live life with like so much regret or think too much about what you left behind. Like, what's more important is to focus like what you have in front of you and to make the most of that.
I'd say my takeaway is moving away from home is definitely hard, but at the same time, there are pros and cons, and sometimes home is not attached to the geographical place, but the people that make you feel like home.
For me, moving away from home means learning, growth, and then some sacrifices.
Yeah, and I think like this would be a good moment to also pause and just, acknowledge for any of our listeners that this is definitely a difficult subject and a difficult topic. So, we have shared our experiences moving away from home, and we are happy to also be that source for anyone who wants to share their experiences of moving out, whether it's positive, negative, ups, downs. We've created this space for everyone to share and grow, and by us sharing, we hope that others can as well.
Thanks for joining us on 3 Takes. If something we shared sparked a new thought or opened up a conversation with someone you love, we want to hear about it. DM us on Instagram at 3.takes, email us at connect@3takes.com, or visit us at www.3takes.com. And if this episode meant something to you, share it with another mother, daughter, or sister in your life. It's how we grow and keep the stories moving.